The news day continues here on One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. Cuban Bocas has defeated Filipino fighting Senator Manny in a unanimous decision. Ugas was on the defensive for a couple of rounds as Pacquiao connected a few good shots against the Cuban slugger, ending length and height as more of his punches connect with Pacquiao's. Ugas was originally scheduled to fight on the undercard, but stepped in pre-injured Errol Spence Jr. to face Pacquiao on only 11 days' notice. Ugas is or remains to be the WBA welterweight champion. Now, in other news, the Octa research team says the 2-week ECQ has been effective in reducing COVID-19's growth rate. But with actual cases still increasing, Octa said efforts to curb the pandemic need to be sustained over 4 weeks. That is to ensure that continued decrease in the virus growth rate. Now, according to Octa, the ECQ considerably lowered the virus growth rate and now at 24%. It was at 48% 2 weeks ago and 72% 3 weeks ago. Meanwhile, the reproduction number of the virus is also lower at 1.67 compared to its value last week at 1.90. The House of Representatives will resume plenary session tomorrow after a 2-week suspension due to ECQ. House Speaker Lord Alan Velasco said they have to work double time on pending measures that should have been tackled in the past 2 weeks. Velasco said that the lower chamber is anticipating the submission of the National Expenditure Program, which contains the proposed 5 trillion peso national budget for 2022. Once they receive the NEP, the House Speaker said that the Committee on Appropriations will begin the budget deliberations as soon as possible. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. In case you missed it, Cuban boxer Eudenis Ugas has defeated Filipino fighting Senator Manny Pacquiao by way of unanimous decision. Throughout the fight, Ugas utilized his longer reach to keep a Pacman away from him. Ugas was on the defensive for a couple of rounds as Pacquiao connected a few good shots against the Cuban slugger, ending round 5 with a flurry. But Pacquiao couldn't beat Ugas' length and height as more of the Cuban punches connect with Pacquiao's face. Pacquiao failed to reclaim the title he once owned after the WBA stripped it off him earlier this year due to inactivity and in favor of Ugas. Ugas was originally scheduled to fight on the undercard but stepped in for the injured Errol Spence Jr. to face Pacquiao on only 11 days' notice. Ugas remains to be the WBA welterweight champion. Now, amid the chaos at the Kabul Hamid Karzai International Airport, a baby was hoisted over barbed wire to the arms of the U.S. Marine. But Pentagon says the baby is now reunited with its parents. Let's listen in.
The parent asked the Marines to look after the baby because the baby was ill. And so the Marine you see reaching it over the wall took it to a Norwegian hospital that's at the airport. They treated the child and returned the child to the child's father.
Was there only one?
I'm only aware of the one incident. But it was an act of compassion because there was concern about the
Are they
babies.
going to be brought out, the
I don't
father,
know
or
that.
were they put back outside the airport?
I don't know, Jen. The baby was returned to its father. I don't know I don't know where they are now. We don't. I mean, obviously, we have a responsibility to return a child to the child's parent, and I don't know who the parent is and whether whether they're an SIV applicant or I don't have that level of detail. But I think this was a very humane act of compassion by the Marines, and it's exactly the kind of skill and professionalism the general talked about.
Practical gifts like money bouquets go on trend amid economic troubles brought about by the coronavirus pandemic. Faith Del Mundo has the details.
The common Tagalog phrase, sana all, may be your initial reaction when seeing somebody receiving cold hard cash, particularly during these times. That's exactly what this wife received on her special day. Marijo didn't expect sweet gifts such as flowers from her husband on her 49th birthday. But she was blown away as she received a bouquet with 100,000 peso cash, which her husband Nap says have been taken from his savings.
Super na surprise. Unexpected yun eh. Tears of joy. Tsaka na yun nga. Kasi una, nung nakita ko yung magdi-deliver, sabi ko, ay flower. Inilabas na. Ayun na, no. Naiiyak. Kasi nga, ano eh, talagang surprise. Pinilig ako doon sa pera. Sabi ko.
Nap thought of a gift that would astound his wife with the help of their kids. It was even more special since she had been through a lot during these trying times.
Yun nga, no, we've been in quarantine for almost 2 years na, di ba? So, yun, yung everyday routine namin na work from home, tapos yung mga bata, online schooling. So, yung everyday task dito sa bahay, siya yung laging gumagawa. Siya yung nag-asikaso sa bahay. Yun nga, since medyo depressing yung time because of, yun nga, nagkaroon din kami ng mga challenges during this pandemic time. No? Na nawala yung manager ko. Tapos, we lost a business. No? So, talagang, kumbaga, you will need to think of something na to brighten the situation.
Practical gifts such as money bouquets are becoming a trend nowadays, even amid the economic crisis brought by the pandemic. Hannah de Guzman and her mother took chances, using different approaches to save their flower shop business.
Ano din eh, may mga feedback na, kunwari magpo-post kami ng mga bookies, sasabihin, naku, huwag mo lang akong bigyan ng ganyan. gusto ko bigas na lang, ganyan. So parang yung mga tao ngayon, lalo na nag-lockdown, medyo mahirap ang buhay. So parang gusto nila is practical na mga regalo. And sakto naman, yung money bouquet, talagang pinag-ipunan naman yon. Tapos nung ibinigay, di ba talagang nakakatawa kasi dami magagawa doon sa 100,000 kumpara sa puro bulaklak lang siya.
Hannah thinks that while everyone seems to be in need of cash aid, there are still others who have capability to give and want it to be handed over in a very special way. That's where her field of expertise comes in.
Ang ginagawa lang talaga namin, fresh flowers. So medyo mabilis lang yung gawin, mga 30 minutes, tapos na, minsan less pa. Kasi itong money bouquet, kasi first time namin siyang gawin, parang gumagawa kami ng mga 6 p.m., ganyan, nung gabi kinagabihan. Tapos kami mga 10, kasi iisa-isahin mo siyang irolyo, tapos ilalagay mo pa siya sa stick. Tapos kinabukasan ng umaga, before namin dalhin, doon pa lang namin ina-arrange kasama yung mga bulaklak. So, mga natapos kami before 10. So, medyo nasa 4, 5, 6, mga 5 hours to 8. Parang ganun siya.
Hannah's money bouquet business also assures their customers that the cash money they use in the arranged bouquets will be properly handled in compliance with the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas Presidential Decree number 247, which prohibits acts of defacement of Philippine currency. For News 5, Faith Del Mundo, we are One News.
And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later again at 2:15 in the afternoon as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play app. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Riza Diaz. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.